Welcome back to our course, Redeem Your Regrets. Now that you've sorted your regrets into foundation, boldness, moral, and connection regrets, let's move into today's work of processing our regrets. Again, please make sure to download the follow-along guide I provided you for this course. In this module, I'll take you through 3 steps to process your regrets. Step 1 is to understand your regrets. Step 2 is to learn from your regrets. And step 3 is to act on your regrets. Let's dig into each of these. In order for you to better understand your regrets, I'd like you to ask yourself 3 questions about each and every regret on your list. First, what did you not know when you made a decision you now regret? Second, who could you not be when you made that regretful decision? And third, how did you do the best you could given your situation at the time? Now, this is not about making excuses, but about looking clearly at the circumstances surrounding your regrets. Maybe you were never taught something, didn't have role models, had limited resources, were struggling with a lack of safety. It's easy for us with the perspective of time and wisdom to look back and judge our mistakes harshly. So let's go back in time and get a clear-eyed view of the situation we were in and the person we were with more limited capacity and resources when we made a decision we now regret. This process is really about embracing self-compassion. Step 2 is to learn from our regrets. To do this, I'd like you to ask yourself 3 questions about each and every regret on your list. First, what meaning can you make of this regret? Specifically, what good, if any, came out of this regret? Even if it's that you simply survived or that you're resilient. Second, what did this regret teach you about yourself, the people around you, and your world, whether you realized it back then or only now when looking back? Third, how did you change as a result of this regret? What does this regret allow you to be and to do now and moving forward? Step 3 is to act on your regrets. I'd like you to consider 3 ways to do this. First, are there regrets that you may still be able to make right? Now's the time to do so, like writing a letter of apology or repaying a debt you owe, or even forgiving yourself. Yes, there will be some regrets that are too late to make amends for, like one involving someone who has passed away. In that case, you can still write that letter of apology and simply not mail it. And you can make sure to change your behavior next time a similar situation comes up. Second, what do your regrets reveal about what matters most to you? Maybe your biggest regrets are about connection, revealing that the human need for love is hugely important to you. Getting clear on what you've neglected will help focus your priorities moving forward. Third, what steps can you begin to take today to lean into your newly defined priorities? Imagine yourself in 10 years and ask yourself, if I haven't done X or addressed Y, I will regret it. Then figure out what you can do to prevent that future regret. It's time to harness your regrets into conscious action. To illustrate this process, let me take you through how I used these 3 steps to work through one of my boldness regrets. I wish I'd taken a gap year after high school to discover who I was and what I wanted for myself. Now, this is a really hard one for me. I imagine it would have changed the trajectory of my life. I often think about how that year would have allowed me to get some clarity about who I was and what I wanted for myself. I'd have addressed my anxiety issues and nipped my early eating disorder in the bud. After the gap year, I'd have chosen to attend a small liberal arts college where I'd have studied psychology rather than going to a study hard, play hard university and majored in history. I'd have gone on to get my PhD in psychology, then practiced, researched, and taught in the field. I wouldn't have married my first husband out of fear of being alone and would have waited for the right long-term partner to make that commitment. I would have healed my family origin issues and been a better parent to my twin daughters, and on it goes. Seriously, I can spin this one regret to solve all of my life's problems. Okay, so let's work through my regrets, starting with step 1, understand. So in reflecting on these 3 questions, here's what I realize. When I think about my situation when I was leaving for college at the young age of 17, I can see that there was no way I'd ever have considered taking a gap year. What did I not know? I did not know about the possibility of a gap year. Back then in 1981, it was a very uncommon thing to do. And I would have felt like a failure had I not gone straight from high school to college, because that's the way things were done back then. So who could I not be? Well, I could not be brave. I did not have the awareness at all that I was living my life unconsciously and ruled by fear. I felt the fear, but I stuffed it down deep, too ashamed to even acknowledge it, even to myself. I never reached out for help because that would also mean failure. I focused on being perfect, and a gap year did not fit with the image I was so keen on preserving. And finally, how did I do my best here? Well, I was very anxious and scared as a young girl, and I desperately did not want to leave home. I did the next best thing, which is to choose the college my older brother was attending. I coped as best I could with so little awareness, guidance, and support. I mean, I feel a lot of sadness and tenderness for that young girl, and today I'm able to extend her compassion. All right, let's move on to step 2, what I learned from this regret. So what meaning can I make of my regret? When I look for a silver lining in this regret, I realize that I did make some wonderful girlfriends at Duke, where I went to college, and I do have some great memories of social times, especially dancing to Motown music at parties. What did my regret teach me? Well, this regret has taught me how much I sacrifice when I live unconsciously and ruled by fear, when I keep myself small, when I seek to meet external expectations of me, when I sell my soul for the hope of feeling worthy. It is a losing battle. How did I change as a result of this regret? Well, it's taken me many years, but I do feel like I have come a long way in taming my fear and living a much bolder life today than I ever did. I am putting my needs first and striving to show up bravely and authentically in both my personal and professional lives. Let's move on to step 3, how I've taken action on this regret. How did I make it right? Well, in this case, I had to forgive myself. And this has been much easier to do once I could honestly look at the girl I was at 17 with limited capacities and guidance. How did I focus on what matters? This regret has shown me how much I value courage and growth, and I challenge myself daily to lean into these values in my life. How did I take conscious action? I've done a lot to get out of my comfort zone. So here are some recent ways I've done that. Professionally, I've launched this membership, spoken to audiences in person and online, created classes based on solid research, done live videos on Facebook and YouTube. Personally, I've prioritized my needs with my husband, set boundaries with family members, reached out to interesting women I didn't know, tried new activities like pickleball and language exchanges. So I've been busy really challenging myself. But keep in mind, I didn't begin to come to terms with this regret until I was close to 50 years old. And if I'd learned from it in my 20s or 30s or earlier in my 40s, I could have taken conscious action a lot sooner, but no regrets, right? Better late than never. I'm still honestly working on redeeming this regret each day. It is a work in progress. That's why I love the wisdom of this Chinese proverb. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. It really is never too late to address your regrets. And even if you can't fully make peace with them, fully make amends, you can harness them to do better in the future. Your Module 3 assignment is to begin to process your regrets using the method I laid out. You'll find all the details in the follow-along guide you downloaded for this. Keep in mind, this type of processing is a labor of love and may take quite some time, over a period of days, weeks, or months. Be patient and gentle with yourself. And for deeply rooted regrets, do consider seeking help from a trained psychotherapist. Wallowing in regret is painful and unproductive, so I ask, how can you use your regrets to move you toward your goals? The overarching message I'd like to leave with you is this one. Don't let regrets define your past. Use them to design your future. Until then, be well.